You know, for thousands of years, building stuff was all about human hands, human minds, shaping the world around us. But that ancient art? Well, it's getting a serious, radical upgrade. We're going to dive into a revolution that's happening right now, from the architect's very first sketch all the way to the dusty construction site.
And this isn't some far-off sci-fi dream. We're talking about something that is really starting to reshape one of the oldest industries on the planet. So how's it all happening? Well, let's get into it.
All right, so the first big change happens way before anyone even thinks about breaking ground. You know, the traditional way, an architect comes up with one big idea, and every single change, every tweak costs a ton of time and money. But the new way, totally different. We're talking about AI generating thousands of options all at once, crunching all this complex data to figure out how a building will actually perform, long before it's even built.
And that brings us to our first major topic, the AI-powered architect. This is all about designing that digital blueprint for what's to come.
So the key bit of tech here is something called generative design. And the idea is actually pretty simple. You basically give the AI a list of rules, right? Things like, hey, I want as much natural light as possible, or we have to use sustainable materials. And of course, don't go over the budget. Then the AI just goes to work. It explores pretty much every possible solution, spitting out hundreds of options a human team could never even dream up by themselves.
Okay, so you might be wondering, why put all this brain power into the very beginning of a project? Well, get this. A whopping 70% of a project's final cost gets locked in right at this early design stage. I mean, think about that. If you can get this part right with AI, you can avoid massive budget headaches down the road. It's literally the definition of working smarter, not harder.
All right, let's make this a little more concrete. Take a look at this. This is the site for a new 10-story hotel in Cirebon, Indonesia. Now, this place has a super hot and humid tropical climate. So the big challenge for the architects is, how do you design a building that's actually comfortable without just cranking up the AC 24/7 and burning through energy?
So the team turned to an AI platform for help. First, the AI went ahead and generated 54 completely unique models, and each one was specifically optimized for that local environment. Then, and this is the important part, the human architects stepped in. They used their expertise to pick the top 3 designs that looked the most promising. It's this awesome partnership between the AI's raw power and human judgment.
And you can see here just the kind of data the AI was chewing on. I mean, look, one analysis shows the sun's path all year round, which helps figure out exactly where to put windows in shade to dodge that intense heat. The other one, that's the main wind patterns. This let the AI actually shape the building to catch those cooling breezes. For a human team to do this kind of deep dive, we're talking weeks. The AI, it did it in minutes. Just incredible. So what's the bottom line here? The final design that came out of this human-machine team-up showed a potential energy savings of 23%. That's a huge deal. We're talking a massive drop in running costs and in the building's environmental impact, all because they nailed the design right from the start.
Okay, so having a perfectly optimized digital plan is amazing, but how do you actually build the thing? Well, for that, we've got to leave the architect's office and head out to the job site, because that's where the second part of this revolution is really kicking off.
You see, for a while now, the construction industry has had this big problem. They've been shouting from the rooftops that there just aren't enough skilled workers, equipment operators, laborers, to keep up with demand. And that shortage creates this huge bottleneck that slows everything down. And that's where companies like Built Robotics come into the picture. They created something called the Exosystem. And what's cool is, it's not a whole new robot. It's actually a smart kit that you can bolt onto the excavators that companies already own. It uses GPS, cameras, a bunch of sensors, and AI to turn that regular old piece of heavy machinery into a self-driving autonomous worker.
And this technology is moving so fast. The first models were really just about proving, hey, this can actually be done. But today, now we've got these super specialized machines like the RPD-35. It's a robotic pile driver built for one job, building giant solar farms. It automates the whole process, from surveying the land to hammering in the piles. It's making the shift to clean energy happen way faster. Okay, but whenever you start talking about robots doing jobs, there's always that one big question in the room, right? And where this story goes next is, well, it's pretty surprising. It's the question we all think about. Are the robots coming for our jobs? The fear, of course, is that automation is just going to wipe out human jobs on the construction site. But what's actually happening is turning out to be a lot more collaborative. Check this out. In a move that honestly shocked a lot of people, one of the biggest construction unions out there, the International Union of Operating Engineers, actually partnered up with Built Robotics. They're not looking at this as a threat. They see it as the next step, an evolution. The whole idea is to train their members to become robot equipment operators, basically skilled technicians who oversee a whole fleet of these autonomous machines. It's a shift away from pure manual labor and toward high-tech supervision.
So when you put these two massive changes together, you've got the AI architect in the office and the robotic builder on the site. What does the future of construction actually look like?
Okay, let's just connect all the dots here. First, we've got AI helping us design smarter, more efficient, and more sustainable buildings from the get-go. Then, out on the job site, we have robots handling the repetitive, back-breaking tasks, which plugs that critical labor gap. And the most important part? The human job isn't going away. It's just changing. It's evolving into something new, a more skilled, more technical role that's all about managing and supervising this whole new process.
And all of this really leads us to one final and maybe most important question. We're creating these unbelievable new tools that let us build faster, more affordably, and more sustainably than we ever could before. This technology is giving us a kind of power we've never had. So the only real question left is, with all that power, what kind of world are we going to choose to build?